Okay, good morning. We reprinted the fourth part and it printed fully, but there's some issues. So let's take it off the plate and talk about what we learned. Um, I'm still not 100% sure what's going on. I'm still a little bit of a thing we got to try to figure out. However, we are getting some more information. So basically, what I did, I printed this thing upside down to try, or I guess actually I should say right side up. I printed it right side up so that we would have this ridge profile at the top. But you can see what happened is something sort of unusual. So let's remove it from the plate and tear off the support material and see what we can figure out from this. We'll put it on the table next to the other one and should be able to kind of figure out what we're looking at. So here. Okay. Tearing off support materials. Pulling this stuff away. Right up here on this little piece, I'm going to be very deliberate and take my time because just in case, I'm still not, especially actually now that I've seen this part print again and it still kind of has issues, I'm even feeling more confident that what went wrong with this part last time was not that we broke it. Because if that were the case, then printing it like this upside down would have basically fixed that issue. I don't know. You know what? This is an unusual little artifact up here. So let's try and let's walk through what's going on here and try to understand it. So like on this side, you can see that ridge printed like it was supposed to. That's supposed to be like that same height over here. But if I put it where I can just look at it flat, it actually it just got cut off flat parallel to the build plate, like where you can see up here where what we started with our little ridge or our little rail, it actually just like tapered off and became totally flat. Which almost like makes me want to lean towards what if we reached the maximum height in the printer? That's almost like kind of how it's behaving, because see in the way that it flattened off like that. And I would almost be really confident that that's what happened, except for when we get over here and we see this stuff. Then I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't seem like we reached the maximum height in the printer, because if we had, then how did it print this artifact here up higher than this flat section? So that's curious. Very I'm still not totally snapped in on what's going on here. Basically, the way I see it, we have two kind of different ways we can proceed going forward. Let's say we got kind of like a easy fix, a quick fix, and then we got probably what we really should do, like if we were going to fix it the right way. So let's talk about that. If I put this is my reprint. Okay. If I put this up here next to the other one, what you're going to see is that they are aligned in the back. So this one did print correctly here at this end where the rail is intact. Coming over here to the front. And really, actually, I mean, from sitting here, it's easy to tell that, see, it appears like this is actually higher and this is lower. So the theory I was floating a second ago about like maybe this was just at the max height and so it just cut it off at one level, that doesn't really make sense because this appears to be sloped downward pretty obviously. Okay, so if we were gonna go for the most expedient solution, that would probably be to take this part, because we have printed this part in Slicer and it worked on the first shot, no hassles. We could probably put this part in Slicer and mirror it. So it would become a mirror image of itself, which should fall in right here perfectly. And we could proceed like that. That would be the most, like, I feel very confident that that would have a high rate of probably working the way we want it to. Here's the way that I want to say probably we should do it, or what we should try. I can take this part just to rule out the possibility that it's the height of this part in the printer that's causing an issue. I could put this back in Mesh Mixer and cut it horizontally, and then I could arrange this piece and this piece on the build plate next to each other. So we could still print the part in one shot. We just print it in two separate pieces, so that we could basically assess whether that's having an effect. Another thing I want to check really quick. So if I turn this piece in like that, and I turn this piece in like that. See, I don't know. I'm not totally sure what's going on here, but the more we kind of look at it and think about it and try to logic our way through what happened, that's ultimately how you find the answer on this stuff. That's basically why I think it's kind of like, for a lot of people, it doesn't seem super accessible. It's because, like, a lot of people really don't like to spend this time under tension trying to figure out a thing that you really don't know the answer to. And like I said, it doesn't really make sense because, like, okay, let's talk about how the parts failed, okay? So the first print, the first shot that we did, it shortened the entire part uniformly, okay? This print, the second print, not like that, like this. Let me think about what I was about to say, because because this is the same height as this, but really I think it's because on the first print, I printed it here upside down. So whenever it cut it parallel to the flat. So it comes out looking like a square. Like, see, this one comes out looking like basically flat on the bottom, flat on the top. And the only reason it wouldn't make sense is because this one is tall. I mean, this one's like, looking at how it kind of like, nah, I don't know, dude. It's a question mark. So I guess here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take this file, I'm gonna pop it in Mesh Mixer real quick, and we're gonna split it horizontally. We're gonna load both files back into Slicer and see if we can get the file to print fully. My inclination is to say that I don't think it's a max height of the build plate, or like, I don't think we're taking up the full volume of the space, and that's the issue. But if I do this step, then we'll know for sure that's not the issue, and we can move forward with a solution to this problem. Okay, so I'm gonna do all that and start this part printing again. I was thinking last night, kind of a good thing about having some failed parts. So now we kind of have, like, 1, 2 parts that are basically just like a throwaway part. What's good about that is, once we get this thing assembled, in order to get this thing assembled, we're gonna have to, like, attach these pieces, okay? There's a lot of different ways, to attach these pieces. You can glue them together, you can weld them together with heat, you can, well, that's pretty much the two ways that I know. with stuff like this, we can do some informal testing to see what's going to be the best way to stick this stuff together. We can do some soldering iron and do some a plastic welder. They got this little gun. It's basically like a kind of doing the same thing a soldering iron does, but it's a tool specifically made for fusing plastic like that. So we can kind of use this to experiment with the assembly and see how those surfaces are going to fuse together before we move on to our parts that are actually like keeper parts. So that's it for today. Thanks everybody.